rate. Also had some notable improvements that were added, making it the most comprehensive mix survey ever to be conducted to the survey, as well as the inclusion of new modules to the existing, like I said, going on, and the subsequent of the life of women and children, and the implementation of policies and programs that positively impact on the life of Nigerians, more particularly on the life.
For screening on Wednesday, August 17, 2022. A statement by the clerk and head of Legislative Service, Deji Adeyemo, said the screening exercise would hold at the Assembly's Conference Room 215 at 2:30 p.m. prompt. The nominees were asked to submit 30 copies each of their curriculum vitae and credentials to the office of the clerk by noon. A coalition of Fube professionals, the group said the statement is politically sponsored to be voted for in the forthcoming elections. He said, guest on ATM blowout Andrew Ajayi calls to question the sense.
Are not planning or doing the same thing to them. They are neither here nor there, or they don't even concern themselves about the socio-political happenings of
Naira electronically on utility bills such as power, pay TV subscriptions, and other everyday utilities in the first 7 months of 2022. According to data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, this is a 32.06% increase from the 1.28 trillion naira that was electronically spent on utilities in the corresponding period of 2021. This figure indicates an increasing acceptance of electronic channels for bills payment by Nigerians. The NIBSS defines e-bill pay channel as an accessible and seamless account-based electronic bill payment channel with an online real-time transaction reporting, biller notification, and easy reconciliation. It said e-bill is an electronic bill payment platform that facilitates the payment of bills, fees, levies, premiums, and subscriptions by the banking public through electronic payment channels provided and managed by banks. It added that the payment gateway worked by allowing billers to validate data and notification of successful payments before connecting to the bank for customers to view a list of billers and payment receipts after successful transaction. Nigeria's equities market opened today on a slightly negative note, 0.01%. Investors lost about 19 billion naira at the close of trading on Tuesday, August 16th. The market's performance indicators, the Nigerian Exchange Limited All-Share Index and market capitalization decreased from 49 billion 664 million point and 26.787 trillion naira respectively to 49 billion naira point and 26 trillion naira. Also, the market's positive return year to date printed lower at 16.25% at the close of trading section on Tuesday. The share price of Presco PLC decreased most by 15.80 or 9.97% from 158.40 naira to 142.60 naira, followed by Dangote Sugar Refinery, which moved down from 16.70, and Multiverse Mining and Exploration PLC, which also decreased from 2.44 to 2.25, losing 19 kobo or 7.79%. E-Transact, FBN Holdings, and Transcorp were top 5 trader stocks in 4,122 deals investors exchanged. 210 billion naira shares valued at 2.187 billion naira. The sell pressure seen on the Nigerian stock market will continue as rising rates of inflation signals another benchmark interest rate hike in September is possible. The National Bureau of Statistics released its July inflation report, which shows headline rate of 19.64% year-on-year from 18.60% in June. Latest data on the amount spent in subsidizing premium motor spirits, popularly called petrol, seen in Abuja on Monday, showed that the government subsidized the commodity with 1.593 trillion naira between January and June 2022. It was also gathered that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited pumped 54.66 billion naira into refinery rehabilitation during the 6-month period. Figures obtained from the NNPCL's presentation to the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee meeting for July 2022 showed that subsidies on petrol were implemented in June. The company transited from a public oil firm to a commercial entity last month. It also made it clear in July that subsidy on petrol was now a burden of the federal government and not its own responsibility. An analysis of the July presentation of FAAC showed that fuel subsidy or under recovery value shortfalls as described by NMPCL rose to 1.59 trillion naira in the first half of 2022. Figures from the report indicated that the amount spent as subsidy on the commodity in January, February, and March were 210 billion naira, 219.78 billion naira, and 245.77 billion naira respectively. A total of 271 billion naira and 327 billion naira and 319 billion naira were spent as subsidy in April, May, and June respectively. Nigerian Exchange Limited said the federal government and corporate issuers' confidence in the capital markets continued to firm up in the first half of 2022 as bond issuance on the exchange grew to over 2.5 trillion naira. This is despite uncertainty surrounding access to fresh capital for expansion as well as infrastructural projects. Also, the Eurobonds listings on Nigeria grew to $4 billion, while equity listings rose by 1.8 trillion naira despite the weak macroeconomic environment. Analyzing the exchange's listing H122 report January to June, the federal government dominated issuance while corporate organizations made significant inroads during the period. The NGX started the year with the landmark listing of Bua Foods, 18 billion shares listed at 40 naira per share, adding 720 billion naira to the NGS market capitalization. Abe Mortgage Bank also listed its right issue of about 3.28 billion naira, while Access Holdings, following its merger and acquisition, listed new shares valued at 353.675 billion naira. Furthermore, MPF Microfinance Bank listed 3 billion naira ordinary shares of 50 kobo each arising from the offer of 2.286 trillion naira ordinary shares of 50 kobo each at 1.50 per share via a right issues on the basis of one new ordinary share for every one ordinary share held and public offer of 7 billion naira ordinary shares of 1.50 naira per share. These issuance listed across both the bonds and equities markets are essential in deepening the market, enhancing tradability, increasing access to capital to fund growth returns, hence creating wealth for market stakeholders. U.S. stocks sank to the lowest in 6 weeks as doubt emerged that corporate profits can withstand the Federal Reserve stepping up its battle to tame runaway inflation. The rout persisted after the cash market closed as results from Alphabet Incorporation, Texas Instruments Incorporation, and Microsoft Corp disappointed. The biggest ETF that tracks the Nasdaq 100 sank another 1% after the tech-heavy index plunged almost 4% to the lowest in 11 months. Alphabet lost 5.8% and Microsoft was down to 1.2% as of 4:10 p.m. in New York. Lost 2.8% during regular trading as General Electric Co. slid after its profit forecast disappointed, and Tesla Incorporation plunged about after Elon Musk agreed to use his fortune to buy Twitter Incorporation. Treasuries, the dollar, and oil prices all rose while European gas surged on reports of a halt in the flow. The prospect of slower economic expansion alongside persistent inflation is leading to a febrile mood in the market. The panoply of risks spans the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, Fed tightening, and Russia's grinding war in Ukraine. And you are still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Let's now move over to entertainment. You are still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. First, the international tidbits. In Zankyo area of northern Crimea, state news agency RIA Novosti reported around 2,000 residents in the area were evacuated. Russian state media RIA Novosti reported and train services from Russia into Crimea were suspended. Ukraine has not claimed responsibility for the incident, but Mikhailo Podolyak, a Ukrainian presidential advisor, tweeted that Crimea, occupied by Russia, is about warehouses, explosions, and high risk of death for invaders and thieves in the action. UK workers have suffered the biggest drop in their spending power in more than 20 years as prices keep soaring. Average real wages, which account for inflation, fell by 3% between April and June compared with the same period last year, according to the data. Pay continues to fall. Excluding bonuses, it is still dropping faster than any time since comparable records began in 2001. Darren Morgan, Director of Economic Statistics at the ONS, said in a tweet, Office for National Statistics said regular pay, excluding bonuses, was up to 4.7% between April and June, but with prices rising at much faster rates, employees are left worse off. Let's now join Adobe for the sports stories.
Good evening, my name is Adobe. Welcome to the entertainment segment of the Global News. And today on the news, veteran entertainer and activist Charles Oputa, also known as Charlie Boy, has slammed Kaduna Governor Nasir El-Rufai for his scathing remarks over the proposed 2 million man march for the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi in the state. El-Rufai on Monday mocked supporters of Obi over a planned 2 million man march for their candidate in Kaduna. As a way of showing their strength ahead of the 2023 general election, supporters of Obi, popularly identified as Obedient, have been holding marches in state capitals. Similar marches have held in Nasarawa and Cross River states, where the Obedient canvassed support for Obi. But El-Rufai, in his response to a tweet, said he hopes the Obi supporters are able to gather 200 people on the streets of Kaduna for the march. Reacting to the governor's remark, Charlie Boy blasted him and asked that he focus more on proffering solution to the many woes that has befallen the state under his leadership. Nigerian filmmaker Kunle Afolayan Anikulapo is set to loosely follow the story of a young man's quest for greener pastures in Asia's Oyo Kingdom. The thrilling new trailer teases a fine dose of romance, intrigue, and drama, elements fans of the filmmaker can anticipate. Anikulapo will also star Kunle Remi, Shola Shoboale, Bimbo Ademoye, Taiwo Hassan, Moji Afolayan. Music sharing platform Kenya's Umdudo.com has announced that it has achieved a milestone of $1 million in payouts to right owners across Africa, with the company revealed that it expects right owners to earn an additional $1 million in the period between July 2021 to June 2022 from the service. They also recently announced an agreement with major global and African rights organizations, including Universal Music Group and Fuga, in addition to the partnerships with Warner Music Group and African rights owners, Maven Records, Africori, Empower, MAD, amongst others. American rapper A$AP Rocky has been hit with assault and weapons charges over a 2021 shooting. According to sources, the music star was slapped with 2 counts. It should be recalled that Rocky was arrested in April and charged with assault with a deadly weapon. The rapper is under investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department for his alleged involvement in the November 6th shooting. And sadly, Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture Nathi Ntetwa has paid tribute to musical icon Tokolo Shabalala. Affectionately known, Shabalala passed away on Monday due to an epileptic seizure. The minister said Shabalala was a renowned musician who was famously known for his immense contribution towards the development of South African art and culture. He is well known for his work through the groundbreaking Kwaito musical group TKZ, formed in the 90s with Kabelo Mabeleni and Zwe Bala, a group that shot to fame with hit songs Fala Fala and Shibo.
Now let's join Kingsley Palibo on the sports decks.
On ATN Global News, I am Kingsley Palibo. The Nigerian Cricket Federation, NCF, says it is ready to host the International Cricket Council, ICC, Under-19 African Division II World Cup qualifiers in September. Musa Ehizoje, the NCF's Public Relations Officer (PRO) stated in Abuja yesterday that preparations were in place to host the 8-nation tournament in Abuja. Considering the prevalent security challenges in the country, the NTF official said that the ICC is satisfied with the country's security details. EZOJ said the decision to grant Nigeria the hosting rights was due to a grassroots development effort in promoting the game. The tournament is scheduled for September 28th to October 9th. Going to Federations Cup, the management of Heartland FC is now unjustly made to go and replay the quarter-final match against Katsina United, which had been won and lost on the field of play. The NFF had, after its Abuja